Ready? At every World Cup, there's always one team whose squad is just so much better than everyone else's. A country where you look at the strength in depth and think surely they just have to win it. Well, we've arrived at that country, and it is France.
In Group C, Les Bleus will be expected to make serious hay against the likes of Australia, South American candidates Peru, and fellow European qualifiers Denmark. But will it really be plain sailing?
Take a look at the list of players France could take to this World Cup, and you'll see that it's basically a who's who of big players at big clubs. Barca and Real, United and City, Bayern, Juve, Atleti, and of course, Stuttgart. And that's not to mention many of the players lighting up Ligue 1 at PSG, Monaco and all the rest. In case you need a reminder of why I rate this squad so highly, let's have a quick run through of their best talents, shall we?
First in goal, Hugo Lloris, probably the second best keeper in the Premier League over the last few years after David De Gea. At centre-back they have La Liga duo Raphael Varane and Samuel Umtiti. Stuttgart's Benjamin Pavard could also feature. Man City signing Aymeric Laporte hasn't even been capped yet.
Not bad. But it's in midfield where we really start to see the embarrassment of riches at France's disposal, like a selection of delicious hors d'oeuvres. Yes, we're doing French food puns.
When Paul Pogba has to fight for his place, you know it's serious. He's out of form? That's okay, they have Blaise Matuidi. You don't like him? Fine, take Corentin Tolisso. Want someone more defensive? Have double Premier League champion N'Golo Kante. Or if you'd prefer, there's always Timoe Bakayoko.
Is it possible to play with 5 central midfielders? Wait, I forgot Adrien Rabiot, and Steven Nzonzi, and Moussa Sissoko. Oh, forget it. Anyway, let's move on to the forwards. Easy, right?
You just have to play Antoine Griezmann. And obviously you need to start Kylian Mbappé. And how could you leave out a man Barca paid 140 million euros for? Welcome to the party, Ousmane Dembélé.
But hang on, how do these guys fit together? Perhaps we need to rethink.
At Euro 2016, Griezmann linked up brilliantly with Olivier Giroud, who's also scored plenty of goals for France.
Okay, let's get him in.
But then we're leaving out Dimitri Payet, who was also excellent 2 years ago. And what about Nabil Fekir, who's been tearing up the French league this season? And Kingsley Coman, who's just won his 6th league title at the age of 21. Thomas Lemar has reportedly attracted bids of around 90 million euros. Do you just ignore him? Or what about Lacazette? Martial? Gamero?
Is it possible to play with 11 forwards? If you're struggling to work out how to incorporate the new wave of players into an already packed squad, then spare a thought for poor Didier Deschamps, the man whose selection problem has become so nice, it's gone full circle and become a pain in the arse again. This was pretty much the issue France had at their home European Championship. Deschamps himself admitted during the tournament that he hadn't worked out how to get all his best players into one team. And if anything, he has more options now. So the first big question for Group C is this. Is the France squad somehow too talented for its own good? There is evidence that even this team can stink, like an aged camembert.
Although they won their qualifying group, they were far from perfect. They lost away to Sweden, that's not so bad, but they were also held to 2 goalless draws.
Goalless, with that attack.
Even worse is the opposition for those draws. First there was Belarus.
Name me one Belarusian player without checking Wikipedia. What about Alex Hleb? Oh, shut up.
But that's not all. Their other 0-0 came against Luxembourg.
Yes, that's Luxembourg. The one that only has about 500,000 people and is about this big. Their talents were flaky, like the pastry from a fresh croissant. So what could Spain do to them? Or Germany? Or Brazil? But maybe the problem was that they just underestimated smaller opposition, in which case they need to sort that out before they get to Russia. Otherwise they could end up with another situation like 2002.
Remember that? For those of you too young, a Zidane-inspired France won the 1998 World Cup, but as reigning champions in 2002, it all went wrong. They lost to debutant Senegal in their opening game, failed to score a single goal, and took the long trip home from the Far East in shame.
It was pretty funny. Basically like Spain at the last World Cup, but more extreme. On that note, we've now arrived at the second big question swirling around Group C. If France are going through, and come on, they definitely are, who is going through with them? Let's jump cut to our next team. We'll start with Australia. The golden generation that made it to the knockout phase of the 2006 World Cup is long gone. Well, not quite.
Unbelievably, Tim Cahill is still a huge goal threat for the Socceroos.
At the age of 38, he's basically old Father Time in footballing terms. But he's aged like a fine wine.
11 goals in qualifying show he's still got it.
He knows how to find the net.
Even more ridiculous is that Mile Jedinak got 10 and scored a hat-trick. Sure, he takes Australia's penalties, but still, 10 goals?
But enough about the old-timers. What about the under-30s in the Aussie squad?
A lot depends on the midfield duo of Tom Rogic and Aaron Moy. Those two provide much of the team's creative flair and keep things ticking over. If they fire, Australia's fighting spirit could carry them through the group.
Then there's Peru. They're the wild card in this group, the unknown quantity, especially for a dumb European like me. Most of their players aren't particularly well known outside of Latin America, but they do have a couple of familiar faces up front for Bundesliga fans.
Former Hamburg and Bayern striker Paulo Guerrero has been their main man for a long time. He's the country's captain and all-time top scorer. However, he was also recently suspended from football after testing positive for cocaine and a banned stimulant.
He'll be back in time for the World Cup though, so let's hope he keeps his nose clean, eh?
And he could have fellow Bundesliga old boy Jefferson Farfan to keep him company. His first international goal in 2 years helped Peru win their playoff and qualify for the World Cup for the first time in over 30 years.
Maybe these two national heroes have one more surprise left in store. But for me, it's the other team in Group C that has the best chance of going through, Denmark. I'll be honest with you, it mostly comes down to one man, Christian Eriksen. He's like the Michelin star chef of the side. As an Arsenal fan, I can't stand him, but even I have to admit the guy is a class act.
The Republic of Ireland were on the receiving end of his brilliance in the playoffs. Eriksen dismantled the boys in green, scoring a hat-trick to stamp Denmark's ticket. And if he's not enough for you, remember that they have the Lord himself on their side. Oh, Nicklas Bendtner, the man of 1,000 ridiculous stories. His great international record means he could well help Denmark into the round of 16.
Failing that, at least we can rely on him for banter.
So here's my prediction for Group C. France will avoid a repeat of 2002 and qualify top of the group. And they'll be joined in the round of 16 by Denmark, but it'll be close. Australia will push them to the wire but ultimately finish third, and although I'm picking Peru to finish bottom, I'm expecting it to be tight.
Well, what do you think? Will France live up to their billing as favourites or make another World Cup faux pas? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, and join me next time to hash out Group D.